Title: Why Quitting is Never an Option by AI Audiobooks Empire. Introduction. Life is a battlefield of challenges, setbacks, and unexpected turns. Every person who has ever achieved greatness has faced moments when quitting seemed easier than pressing forward. Yet, history reminds us that the difference between those who succeed and those who fade into obscurity lies in one simple principle: perseverance. Quitting is not merely the act of stopping. It is the surrender of potential, the forfeiture of dreams, and the silent acceptance of defeat. The truth is, life will never hand us victories without resistance. Every dream worth pursuing will demand sacrifice, every goal will test our endurance, and every vision will require us to walk through seasons of doubt. In those moments, quitting whispers promises of relief, but it is a false comfort. The temporary ease of giving up cannot compare to the lasting fulfillment of pressing forward. To quit is to abandon the very process that shapes us into the people capable of carrying the success we desire. This audiobook is not about blind stubbornness, it is about purposeful persistence. We will walk through 12 chapters of wisdom, each designed to illuminate the power of endurance, the necessity of discipline, and the courage required to keep moving forward even when the path feels impossible. These lessons are not abstract theories, but grounded in real-life experiences, principles that have stood the test of time, and truths that resonate across generations. They are the same principles that carried inventors through countless failures, leaders through seasons of rejection, and ordinary people through extraordinary challenges. By the end of this journey, you will not only understand why quitting is never an option, you will feel it in your bones, ready to rise above obstacles with renewed strength and conviction. You will see that persistence is not just a strategy. It is a way of life. It is the daily decision to rise again, the quiet refusal to surrender, and the bold declaration that your destiny is worth fighting for. This is the mindset that transforms ordinary lives into extraordinary legacies, and it begins with one unshakable truth: quitting is never an option. Welcome to AI Audiobooks Empire, a channel dedicated to stories and wisdom that uplift, empower, and transform lives. Please like, share, and subscribe so you can continue this journey of growth with us. Now, settle in and let's begin why quitting is never an option. Chapter 1: The Nature of Struggle. Struggle is the universal language of growth. Every person, regardless of background, faces trials that test their resolve. These struggles are not punishments, but opportunities, moments designed to refine character and strengthen spirit. Without struggle, there is no progress, and without progress, there is no fulfillment. Struggle is the soil in which resilience takes root, the fire that tempers courage, and the weight that strengthens determination. It is not something to be feared, but something to be embraced, for it is the very process that transforms ordinary lives into extraordinary testimonies. When we encounter hardship, our first instinct may be to retreat, to escape the discomfort, to seek the path of least resistance. Yet, it is precisely in these moments that perseverance matters most. Struggle reveals who we truly are, stripping away illusions and forcing us to confront our deepest fears. It exposes the cracks in our character and demands that we repair them with discipline and resolve. In the silence of struggle, we discover our true voice, the one that whispers, "Keep going, Even when everything around us screams, "Give up," struggle is not the enemy. It is the teacher that shows us the depth of our strength and the breadth of our potential. The nature of struggle is not to break us, but to build us. It is the crucible in which resilience is forged, teaching us that endurance is not optional, but essential. Every challenge we face is a stepping stone toward mastery, every setback a rehearsal for greater victories ahead. Struggle sharpens vision, strengthens willpower, and deepens wisdom. It reminds us that the path to success is not paved with ease, but with persistence. To quit in the face of struggle is to abandon the very process that makes success meaningful. To endure is to embrace the truth that struggle is not a barrier, it is the bridge to becoming the person we were meant to be. Chapter 2: The Cost of Quitting. Quitting may feel like relief in the moment, but its cost is far greater than the pain of persistence. Every abandoned dream leaves behind a shadow of regret, a reminder of what could have been. The cost of quitting is not measured in immediate comfort, but in the long-term emptiness of unrealized potential. The relief of stopping is temporary, but the ache of knowing you gave up too soon lingers for years. People often underestimate this hidden toll, believing that walking away will free them from struggle, when in reality it chains them to regret. When we quit, we teach ourselves that surrender is acceptable, that mediocrity is enough. This mindset becomes a habit, eroding confidence and weakening resolve. The more we quit, the easier it becomes to justify giving up again. Quitting rewires the mind to expect failure, to anticipate defeat, and to normalize retreat. It is not just one decision, it is the beginning of a pattern that shapes character. A student who quits studying because the subject feels too hard may later quit jobs, relationships, or dreams when challenges arise. Each act of quitting reinforces the belief that struggle is unbearable, when in truth struggle is the very path to strength. The true cost of quitting is not just the loss of opportunity, it is the loss of identity. We cease to be fighters, builders, and dreamers, and instead become spectators of life. Quitting strips us of the dignity that comes from endurance and robs us of the pride that comes from overcoming. It is not only about what we fail to achieve, but about who we fail to become. To quit is to silence the voice of courage within us, to dim the fire of persistence, and to accept a life of almosts and could-have-beens. The cost is not paid in the moment, it is paid in the years that follow. When we look back and realize that the only thing standing between us and victory was the decision to keep going. Chapter 3: Discipline over Motivation. Motivation is fleeting, discipline endures. Many people wait for inspiration to strike before taking action, but those who succeed understand that discipline is the engine of progress. Motivation may start the journey, but discipline sustains it. Motivation is like a spark, it ignites quickly, burns brightly, but fades just as fast. Discipline, however, is the steady flame that keeps the fire alive through long nights and stormy days. Without discipline, motivation collapses under the weight of fatigue, doubt, and distraction. With discipline, even the smallest effort compounds into unstoppable momentum. Discipline is the daily choice to act, regardless of how we feel. It is waking up early when comfort calls, working diligently when distractions abound, and pressing forward when enthusiasm fades. Discipline is not glamorous, but it is powerful. It is the quiet force behind every great achievement, the invisible hand that pushes us forward when emotions fail. Those who rely solely on motivation will falter when the excitement disappears, but those who cultivate discipline will rise again and again, because their actions are not tied to feelings, they are tied to principles. Discipline is the bridge between intention and execution, the difference between wishing for success and building it brick by brick. By choosing discipline over motivation, we build habits that carry us through seasons of doubt. Discipline ensures that quitting is never an option because the path forward becomes ingrained in our very being. Habits formed through discipline become second nature, guiding us even when our minds resist. Over time, discipline transforms into identity. We no longer struggle to act because persistence has become who we are. This is the secret of the resilient. They do not wait for motivation. They rely on discipline. And in doing so, they discover that the strength to endure is not found in fleeting emotions, but in the unwavering commitment to keep moving forward, no matter the cost. Chapter 4. Building Mental Fortitude. Mental fortitude is the armor that protects us from despair. Life will test us with rejection, failure, and disappointment, but those with strong minds endure. Mental strength is not innate, it is cultivated through practice, reflection, and resilience. Just as muscles grow through resistance, the mind grows through adversity. Every challenge we face is an invitation to strengthen our inner resolve, to sharpen our perspective, and to deepen our courage. Without mental fortitude, even the smallest obstacle can feel overwhelming. With it, even the greatest storm can be faced with calm determination. To build fortitude, we must embrace discomfort. Each challenge faced and overcome adds another layer of strength. We learn to silence the voice of doubt and amplify the voice of determination. Mental toughness is not about ignoring pain, it is about learning to endure it with purpose. It is choosing to see rejection not as a verdict, but as redirection, failure not as defeat, but as instruction, and hardship not as punishment, but as preparation. The more we lean into discomfort, the more resilient we become, until struggle itself becomes familiar ground. Fortitude is forged in the fire of persistence, and every time we refuse to quit, we add another brick to the fortress of our mind. Mental fortitude transforms obstacles into stepping stones. It allows us to see beyond the immediate pain and envision the greater reward, ensuring that quitting never enters the equation. Those who cultivate mental strength learn to rise above circumstances, to keep moving forward even when emotions scream for retreat. They discover that endurance is not about denying weakness, but about mastering it. Fortitude is the quiet confidence that whispers, "This too shall pass," and the unshakable resolve that declares, "I will not give up." It is the foundation upon which resilience is built, the shield that guards against despair, and the compass that keeps us moving toward destiny. With mental fortitude, quitting is no longer an option, it is replaced by the certainty that persistence will always lead to growth. Chapter 5. Lessons from Failure. Failure is not the end, it is the beginning of wisdom. Every setback carries within it a lesson, a hidden truth that shapes our future. Those who quit at failure miss the opportunity to grow, while those who persist discover the seeds of success. Failure is the mirror that reflects our weaknesses, but it also points us toward the areas where strength must be built. It is the classroom of life, where the tuition is paid in mistakes and the reward is earned in resilience. Without failure, success would be shallow, fragile, and unsustainable, because it is failure that teaches us how to value victory. Failure teaches humility, reminding us that progress is earned, not given. It teaches patience, showing us that mastery requires time. Most importantly, it teaches resilience, proving that we can rise again after falling. Every rejection humbles us, every mistake sharpens us, and every setback strengthens us. Failure strips away arrogance and replaces it with wisdom. It reminds us that greatness is not about perfection, but about persistence. Those who embrace failure as a teacher discover that it is not a verdict but a guide, pointing them toward a better path. The greatest achievers are not those who never failed, but those who refused to quit after failure. They turned defeat into fuel, transforming mistakes into milestones. Thomas Edison famously said he did not fail 1,000 times in inventing the light bulb. He simply discovered 1,000 ways that did not work. This mindset is the essence of resilience, seeing failure not as a dead end, but as a detour toward success. Every fall becomes a rehearsal for future victories, every obstacle a training ground for greater challenges ahead. In the end, failure is not the enemy, it is the ally that shapes us into stronger, wiser, and more determined individuals. Chapter 6: The Power of Small Steps. Success is rarely achieved in giant leaps. It is built through small, consistent steps. Each day of persistence adds to the foundation of greatness. Quitting halts this process, but perseverance ensures progress, no matter how slow. The temptation to wait for a breakthrough moment or a dramatic transformation often blinds us to the truth. Greatness is the result of ordinary actions repeated faithfully over time. Every small effort is a brick laid in the construction of destiny, and though the wall may not appear overnight, it rises steadily with each act of discipline. Small steps compound over time, creating momentum that cannot be ignored. A single act of discipline today becomes a habit tomorrow, and habits shape destiny. The runner who trains daily, even when progress feels invisible, eventually finds strength and endurance beyond imagination. The student who studies consistently, even when lessons feel repetitive, eventually masters knowledge that once seemed impossible. The entrepreneur who improves one detail at a time eventually builds a business that stands firm against challenges. These examples remind us that success is not about sudden leaps, but about steady accumulation. Momentum is born from repetition, and repetition transforms effort into excellence. By valuing small steps, we learn that progress is not about speed but about consistency. Quitting interrupts the journey, but persistence guarantees arrival. The danger lies in underestimating the power of small actions. Skipping one day may feel harmless, but repeated neglect erodes progress until the dream itself collapses. Conversely, honoring small steps builds confidence, discipline, and resilience. It teaches us to trust the process, to believe that invisible progress will one day reveal visible results. The power of small steps lies in their ability to transform ordinary days into extraordinary outcomes. Each step forward, no matter how small, is proof that quitting is never an option, because persistence ensures that the destination will always be reached. Chapter 7: Resilience in Relationships. Quitting is not only about personal goals, it affects relationships as well. Friendships, marriages, and partnerships thrive on resilience. Walking away when challenges arise may seem easier, but true connection requires endurance. Relationships are not sustained by fleeting emotions, but by the commitment to stand firm when storms come. Love, trust, and loyalty are tested not in moments of ease, but in seasons of difficulty. To quit on people is to abandon the very bonds that give life meaning, but to persevere is to strengthen ties that last a lifetime. Resilient relationships are built on forgiveness, patience, and commitment. They weather storms by choosing to stay, to fight, and to grow together. Forgiveness heals wounds, patience bridges differences, and commitment anchors the bond through trials. Quitting destroys trust, but perseverance strengthens bonds. Every relationship will face misunderstandings, disappointments, and conflicts, but resilience transforms these challenges into opportunities for deeper connection. It is in the act of choosing to love even when it is hard that relationships become unbreakable. When we refuse to quit on people, we demonstrate love in its purest form. Relationships become testimonies of endurance, proving that quitting is never an option when hearts are involved. To endure in love is to declare that the bond is greater than the struggle, that the connection is worth every sacrifice. Such resilience inspires others, showing that true love is not fragile, but fortified through trials. In the end, resilient relationships become legacies of faithfulness, stories of endurance that echo across generations. They remind us that quitting may end a chapter, but perseverance writes a story that lasts forever. Chapter 8. The Role of Faith and Belief. Faith is the anchor that keeps us steady when the waves of life threaten to overwhelm us. Belief in something greater than ourselves, whether it be God, purpose, or destiny, gives us strength to endure. Without faith, the storms of life can feel unbearable, but with it, even the darkest nights carry a glimmer of hope. Faith is not blind optimism. It is conviction rooted in trust, the assurance that there is meaning beyond the struggle. It is the unseen force that steadies the heart when logic falters and courage feels distant. Faith reminds us that struggles are temporary and that perseverance leads to reward. It instills hope, even when circumstances seem hopeless. When the path is unclear, faith whispers that clarity will come. When the burden feels too heavy, belief assures us that strength will be provided. Faith transforms despair into determination, turning setbacks into stepping stones. It is the quiet assurance that tomorrow can be better than today, and that endurance is never wasted. Those who walk by faith discover that their resilience is magnified, because they are not relying solely on their own strength. They are drawing from a deeper source of courage and conviction. When quitting feels tempting, faith whispers that the story is not over. Belief sustains us, ensuring that we press forward with courage and conviction. Faith is the voice that says, "Keep going," when everything else says, "Turn back." It is the unseen hand that lifts us when we stumble, the light that guides us when the road is dark, and the strength that carries us when our own strength runs dry. With faith, quitting is no longer an option, because belief assures us that breakthrough is near. Faith does not eliminate struggle, but it transforms how we face it, turning fear into courage, doubt into confidence, and obstacles into opportunities for growth. Chapter 9. Turning Pain into Purpose. Pain is inevitable, but quitting is optional. Those who endure pain discover that it can be transformed into purpose. Every scar tells a story. Every wound carries wisdom. Pain is not simply an obstacle, it is a messenger, revealing what matters most to us and pointing us toward the areas where we are called to grow. The discomfort we feel is often the birthplace of vision, the spark that ignites passion, and the seed that blossoms into destiny. When we choose to endure rather than escape, pain becomes the raw material from which purpose is crafted. By refusing to quit, we allow pain to shape us into stronger, wiser individuals. We learn empathy, compassion, and resilience. Pain becomes the teacher that guides us toward meaning, showing us that our struggles are not wasted but woven into a greater design. The person who has suffered loss learns to comfort others in grief. The one who has endured failure becomes a mentor who teaches perseverance. The survivor of hardship becomes a beacon of hope for those still in the valley. Pain refines us, chiseling away pride and replacing it with humility, carving away fear and replacing it with courage. It is through pain that we discover the depth of our humanity and the height of our calling. Purpose born from pain is powerful. It drives us to help others, to build legacies, and to live lives of significance. Quitting robs us of this transformation, but perseverance unlocks it. When we embrace pain as part of our journey, we discover that it is not a barrier but a bridge to deeper meaning, greater strength, and lasting impact. The scars we carry become testimonies of survival. The lessons we learn become tools for service, and the resilience we gain becomes the foundation of our legacy. Pain, when transformed into purpose, ensures that our lives are not defined by suffering, but by the significance we create from it. Chapter 10: The Legacy of Perseverance. Legacies are not built on talent alone, they are built on perseverance. The stories we leave behind are shaped by the battles we refused to quit. Children, communities, and future generations draw strength from our endurance. Talent may inspire admiration, but perseverance inspires transformation. It is the relentless pursuit of purpose, the refusal to surrender, that etches our names into the hearts of those who come after us. A legacy is not about what we achieve in isolation, it is about the impact our persistence has on others, the example we set, and the courage we pass on. When we persevere, we inspire others to do the same. Our lives become examples of resilience, proving that quitting is never an option. The parent who refuses to give up on their family teaches children the value of commitment. The leader who endures through hardship shows their community that strength is found in persistence. The teacher who continues to guide despite challenges plants seeds of hope in the minds of students. Each act of perseverance becomes a ripple that extends far beyond our own lives, touching people we may never meet and shaping futures we may never see. Chapter 11: Success is a Marathon. Success is not a sprint, it is a marathon. Those who quit halfway never reach the finish line, but those who endure discover the joy of completion. The journey of success is long, demanding, and often exhausting, but it is precisely this endurance that makes victory meaningful. A sprint may bring quick results, but it rarely builds lasting strength. A marathon, however, requires patience, resilience, and unwavering determination. Success is not about how fast you begin, it is about how faithfully you continue. Marathons require pacing, patience, and persistence. The journey is long, but each step brings us closer to victory. Quitting forfeits the race, but perseverance guarantees progress. Just as a runner must learn to conserve energy, endure fatigue, and push through pain, so too must we learn to pace ourselves in life. There will be moments of exhilaration when progress feels swift, and there will be stretches of struggle when every step feels heavy. Yet, the discipline to keep moving forward, even when the finish line seems distant, is what separates those who succeed from those who surrender. Success is not won in bursts of effort, but in the steady rhythm of persistence. By viewing success as a marathon, we learn to value endurance over speed. We embrace the journey, knowing that quitting is never an option. Each mile teaches us something new about patience, about resilience, about the strength hidden within us. The marathon of success reminds us that greatness is not achieved in a single moment, but in the accumulation of countless steps taken with faith and determination. The finish line is not reserved for the fastest, it is reserved for those who refuse to stop running. And when we finally cross it, the joy is not only in the achievement, but in the knowledge that we endured, that we overcame, and that we proved quitting was never an option. Chapter 12. Living a No-Quitting Life. A life without quitting is a life of fulfillment. It is a life where dreams are pursued, relationships are cherished, and challenges are embraced. To live without quitting is to declare that every setback is temporary, every obstacle is surmountable, and every dream is worth fighting for. Such a life is not defined by ease, but by endurance, not by comfort, but by courage. It is the kind of life that leaves behind stories of resilience, testimonies of strength, and legacies of perseverance. Living a no-quitting life means adopting resilience as a lifestyle. It means choosing persistence in every area: career, family, health, and faith. It is waking up each day with the decision to keep moving forward, even when progress feels slow or invisible. It is refusing to surrender to discouragement, refusing to bow to fear, and refusing to let temporary setbacks dictate permanent outcomes. A no-quitting life is not about perfection, it is about consistency. It is about showing up again and again, with determination in your heart and conviction in your spirit. Such a life is not easy, but it is rewarding. It is a life that inspires others, builds legacies, and proves that quitting is never an option. When people see you endure, they find courage to endure themselves. When they witness your persistence, they discover their own strength. A no-quitting life becomes a beacon of hope, a living testimony that resilience is possible and that victory belongs to those who refuse to surrender. In the end, living without quitting is not just about achieving success, it is about becoming the kind of person whose very existence declares that perseverance is the path to fulfillment, and that quitting is never an option. Closing summary. Quitting is the easiest decision in the moment, but the hardest burden to carry in the long run. Every obstacle you face is not a signal to stop, but an invitation to grow. The stories of resilience, the principles of discipline, and the lessons of persistence remind us that life rewards those who endure. Success is not about talent alone, it is about the refusal to give up when the odds are stacked against you. The victories that matter most are not won by those who had the easiest path, but by those who chose to keep walking when the road was steep, lonely, and uncertain. As you move forward, remember, quitting is never an option. Your breakthrough may be closer than you think, and your persistence may be the very key that unlocks the future you've been striving for. Every step you take, no matter how small, is proof that you are moving forward. Every act of endurance is a declaration that your destiny is worth fighting for. Stand firm in the face of adversity. Keep pressing on when doubt creeps in, and let your life be a living testimony to the power of perseverance. The legacy you leave will not be defined by how many times you fell, but by how many times you rose again. It will not be remembered by the ease of your victories, but by the strength of your endurance. Let your story be one that inspires others to keep going, to believe in their own resilience, and to embrace the truth that quitting is never an option. For in the end, the measure of a life well lived is not in the comfort we enjoyed, but in the courage we displayed, the persistence we embodied, and the breakthroughs we achieved by refusing to surrender. Thank you for listening. If this audiobook inspired you, please like, share, and subscribe to AI Audiobooks Empire. Pain is not the end of your story. It is the beginning of transformation. The end.